Hi everyone, welcome to another video. I mentioned in a previous video about my Sephora spring sale buying some stuff, and one of the things I bought was the Circo Loco palette. Now, one of the things I've been hearing a lot online is that it is very chaotically arranged and difficult to use. So I wanted to see what would happen if I used each row of the palette, as Natasha Denona has said that you can go row or column to create a cohesive look. So for the first look, I'm starting off with the top row, and I'm first using the pink cotton candy shade, and then I'm going to use the orange matte to create a base, and then I'll be laying metallics on top of it. I just wanted to see what would happen if I used her rows. 5 shades is actually quite a lot to use for a look. I usually only use 3 or 4, but I just wanted to see what would happen. For the lower lash line, I'm flipping the placement of the orange and the pink. I do this sometimes just to add some variety. Next, I'm going to be using the blue metallic in the top row, and I'm actually going to be using this as an eyeliner, so that way I can add some depth and length to my eyes without overpowering the mats that I just laid down. As you can see, I had a little bit of fallout, so maybe do your eyes first or something. I'm just making it nice and thick and long. Since it's eyeshadow, it'll be softened out later. And now you can see I'm just blending it out a little bit. Next, I'm going to be laying the icy blue metallic on top of the center of my eyelid, and I'm going over both the eyeliner and the entirety of my eyelid. So I actually think this is one of my most favorite tricks for making really thick eyeliner on monolids look a little bit less harsh, is to just put a lighter colored metallic over the center of your eyelid and then just cover up the eyeliner there. I also keep it in the center to let the matte shades I put down earlier shine through. Now, I was kind of at a bit of a loss of how to use the purple metallic in this row, but I thought I would use it to spice up the outer corner of my eye. So that now it almost looks like I maybe put down like a multi-chrome or something, but in actuality I used a few different shades. I think it adds a really nice effect. It's pretty subtle, but at the same time it's really pretty. Just trying to dust off some of the fallout. And then finally, I decided I need a little bit more of that icy blue metallic on my inner corners. And then I used the setting spray to deepen up the blue so that you can see it again. And so here's what it looks like. And you can see from different angles that the metallic is really pretty. And then I put on some false lashes. I also put some eyeliner on the inner corners of my lower waterline, and this is the final look. I wanted to play up the orange on the inner corner, so I have a matching orange blush, and then for the lips I just kept it very toned down. Roman just released a new collection of nudie colored liquid lips, and they are my perfect colors. So far so good. For the second look, we're going to use the second row, and as you can see, this is a very shimmer heavy row. So I'm just going to start off using the light pastel blue as my base color, and I'm going to buff that over the entirety of my upper and lower eyelids in preparation for putting shimmers on top. The shade is actually quite nice and pleasant to work with. As you can see, I look a bit like a corpse, but don't worry, that'll change. I'm going to be doing a gradation of metallics across my eyelids, so on the inner corner I'm starting off with that pale gold, and then I'm going to be putting the orange next to it. I'm using brushes that honestly are pretty non-ideal for applying metallics, so if it looks really bad, like the intensity is really low, it's because I'm mostly using the brush to lay down the shadow, and then I go back over it with my finger to amp it up. Whenever I see other YouTubers using brushes to apply metallics and the metallics look super intense and they didn't even wet the brush, I always just wonder what kind of sorcery they're using, because I have never been able to apply a metallic with a brush well. I always have to use my finger. And then lastly, that darker blue metallic is going to be going in the very outer corner and going to form a bit of a wing shape. And then I take a little bit more of the blue just to kind of buff out the edges a little bit. And then I'm going to kind of sort of mimic what's on the upper lash line on the lower lash line, but with fewer shades. I'm also again inverting the placement of the orange and the gold. And then I initially wasn't going to put the turquoise metallic down, but then I thought it added a nice touch right next to the gold, so I put it down. So now all the shades on the upper and lower lash line are the same. And then I'm going to add a little bit more of that pale gold to the inner corner, just to kind of add some highlight. And so this is what it's looking like without any lashes on. And this is what it looks like with lashes and some mascara. I didn't do the best job blending these all together. I'm wondering if maybe it was because of the primer I used. But as you can see, I decided to keep the rest of the look pink and just a little bit more neutral, slightly warm, just so that it wouldn't clash with how colorful the eye look was. The last look is using the bottom row, and this time we again have two mattes to play with. So I'm going to be again using the mattes as a base, and then the shimmers are going on top, but this time because the mattes are so punchy, I do want them to be a little more obvious. So I'm going to be putting the pink on the inner half of the upper eyelid, and I'm just very slowly building it up and blending it out. The mattes in this palette were honestly a very, very pleasurable mattes to work with. They were very easy to use. They build up really well and they blend out really well as well. And then I'm going to be putting the purple on the outer half. It does not apply ultra pigmented the first time you go in, but it blends out really easily, so you can just build up the layers as needed. And then I'm just using a slightly smaller brush to pack it on in a more precise area. And then I'm gonna just kind of mirror it a little bit on the lower lash line. I'm only adding the purple though, I'm not adding any pink. And next I'm taking the orange metallic and I'm going to put that right where the two shades are transitioning, and I'm going to try and just keep it focused there. The only thing about orange is that orange is not a complementary to purple, but it's in a similar position on the color wheel such that if you mix them too much you're going to end up with a very unflattering shade of like vomit brown. So I'm keeping the blending as minimal as possible. I then take the lightest color metallic in this row, and this is going to go on the lower lash line only. And then the dark purple metallic in this row, I was not so sure what to do with it, so I decided to use it just to kind of deepen up and add some shine to the outer corner. As I mentioned earlier, 5 shades is definitely a lot for me to be using, so this shade is probably the most redundant out of all the shades I used for this look. Finally, I'm taking more pink and I'm just going to blend out all the edges. And this is what this finished look looks like. The orange metallic in this row is a lot more subtle than the other metallics in this palette, but I think it adds a really pretty effect and keeps the upper lash line looking mostly matte so that the bottom lash line can contrast. Here I just put on some lashes again. I felt like this palette is the kind of palette that demands lashes to be worn. To play up with the pink, I am wearing pink blush and a cool toned pink lip. Pretty much every single lip product in this video was from Romand. I recently did a really big lip declutter, and now I pretty much use almost exclusively Roman lip tints at the moment. They're just really, really good. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys got some inspiration. See you in the next video.